getting ready. And now I'm live. Who was already hanging out here? Justin and Musical Aviator, Fox of Fate. Hello. Hello, hello. Oh, good. Mix my drink a bit. Fruit juice, the nectar is a bit thick. That's pretty good. Ooh, that's the other thing I have to do. I might get Aidsy to try and join. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure at all what state he's in, but we'll see. And hello to you as well, Miss Foxification. Hello to all you fine people this evening. Good to see you. Good to see you. Just realize what's this doing? Yes. Okay. Cool. EO. Pause that. And hello, CrossFitter. I'm just getting some stuff ready. Lighting's gone weird. The lighting's never is it? I think okay. It's because I'm wearing a dark top. That I'm going to try something. All right, hang on. Okay, is that extra? Oh, that makes a difference, doesn't it? It's not the best, but that makes a difference. And when there's light behind me, slightly less wash out. I mean, I don't know why the webcam is so shitty with the light, but it is. So I guess I could try and fiddle with the settings again, like I did before, except I'm not using the webcam, which had little adjustable features on it. I'm just using the inbuilt webcam, which actually seems to be on this new laptop, seems to be slightly better quality than the standalone webcam I got. C'est la vie. Technical hassles. Technical hassles. This is the world we are plagued with. Justin, you got a job interview in Victoria. Good luck with that. And hello to you, Safa. Yes, Musical Aviator. I'm going to White Night on Saturday, not on Friday night. White Night is on, they've done it completely differently. It's on till midnight tonight and tomorrow night until 2 a.m. on Saturday night, Sunday morning. Whereas, and it's on at a completely different time of the year. For those unfamiliar with White Night, it's a little festival that's been running in Melbourne for a few years with art installations based around light and projections. Pretty cool, usually. It used to be one night and it went all the way through till dawn. And I don't know, they did focus groups that told them that they should change what they're doing. They put it on in a completely different time of year. And it used to be on in late summer. And obviously now it's on in late winter. And they spread it over 3 nights and it doesn't run all night. Which I honestly think sucks a bit. But hey, we'll see what it's like on Saturday night. Safa's going paintballing in Melbourne on Saturday. Sounds like fun and just, possibly just a little bit too strenuous and painful for me because I am exceedingly lazy. Okay, that's Aidsy replying. Janet emailed you the link just now. Just click on it. All right. We'll see if he manages it. His internet is flaky. So, okay. I'm gonna try some other things. I might have to do this. See how that goes. Yes, a summary of the week's big news, Fox, that Trump's a petulant child who won't accept that he can't buy part of another country. And Pell's not being released from prison, at least not yet. He still has one possible avenue of appeal. But I hope that fucker stays in jail. I hope he dies in jail. I hope he just gets miserable and wastes away and fucking dies in prison. Not murdered by someone, not mutilated by someone. I just want him to wallow in his misery for a couple of years and die before he's released, because he is the scum of the earth who we will never really know exactly how many children he personally sexually abused. And even worse, we won't know how many dozens, if not more, children were subject to abuse because of Pell's actions to protect abusers, to protect the reputation of the church above protecting the actual members of the church. But yeah, it's so weird. Well, actually, look, honestly, I suppose it's not that much, but I should stop speaking in half sentences. I was going to say it's weird how his right wing supporters are still obsessively defending him now that he's a convicted child rapist, going, oh, it's a miscarriage of justice, rather than really obvious delivery of justice. But it really brings home, not that I actually really needed this explained or made clear to me, but the way Bolt in particular, he's the one I've seen being the worst, has acted since Pell lost his appeal. It shows truth does not figure for these people. I mean, yeah, it was already obvious. Things like the climate change denialism and just being a general asshole. Like, the truth is utterly irrelevant to these people. They are, it's ideology above everything. Anything at all that contradicts their ideology, no matter how much compelling evidence there is to support the fact that contradicts their ideology, they will stay with ideology no matter what evidence is put before them. It's quite horrifying, actually. Yes, I did hear they're trying to actually make law in Victoria that Catholic priests are legally compelled to report abuse if it's confessed to them. And of course, they're not going to. But, and yeah, that's all Chantel, because how will you ever know if it was confessed to them? It's the making the laws is a little bit of posturing, quite honestly. But yeah, it's kind of like, if you want to know how wrong something is, particularly, you know, with these right wingers defending the Catholic Church no matter what, and wanting to condemn every Muslim in the world because of the actions of extremists. You just change the framing of it. It's like, okay, what would they do to a senior Muslim cleric who was convicted of child rape, who had been dogged by allegations of sexual abuse for decades, and who had actively aided and abetted the covering up of abuse within their institutions because they regarded the reputation of their institution as more important than protecting the victims of abuse? If it was a Muslim cleric who did all those things, exactly how would Bolt and company react? Yeah, it's, you know, it's so obvious that they're driven by blind ideology over everything. So just fuck the lot of them, really. Oh, yeah, that's the other. So much fun news happening, isn't there? Fox or Faye bringing up that the Amazon's been on fire for 3 weeks, and that's actually deliberately lit fires by people who want to clear the Amazon for uh, uh, cattle grazing and farming. And this is done with the active support of the straight up fascist leader of Brazil, Bolsonaro, who's made it absolutely clear that he's full on in favor of clearing the Amazon, particularly disenfranchising the indigenous peoples who are still living in those lands. Yay, fascism! It's wicked. Again, there's people saying like, "Oh, you call everyone you disagree with the fascist." No, no. Any rational person would agree that fascist, when describing Bolsonaro, is not hyperbole. It's just an accurate description of his positions and his ideology. And hey, Adele, how are you doing? Haruhi, hello. Oh, yes, yes. The chosen one. Yeah, Trump's been doing that weird biblical imagery and doing that old "you're a bad Jew" routine. If you vote for the Democrats, which I think demographically a significant majority of Jewish people do vote Democrat, basically because the Republicans have for quite a few decades been much more pally with fascists and neo Nazis than the Democrats have. Different points in history, it might have been different, but in our current world, that's what it is. But yes, and Trump's definitely not right. Trump is definitely not right in the head. It's so obvious. Trump's cognitive functions have been shot to hell, and it's really quite disturbing to see. You know, this is the world we live in. Fascism rising everywhere, and scary, scary people making scary, scary decisions while we're all going down thing. Yes. Well, I find that hard to argue with. Isafa, you say, why does Australia always agree to support the US military? Aruhi, as you say, Australia just behaves like America's bitch, quite honestly. It's just an insult to bitches. And there's Adrian going, I can't make it work. Okay. Yep. Okay. He's still trying. Ooh, Adele, you got Halo Top. Actually, I don't want to seem that excited. I'm not that big a fan of Halo Top, but it's okay. There are others I prefer. I can't argue with you there, Adele, that ice cream makes the chaos we are living through better. But yeah, yeah, it's is it really every now and then someone points out, and I have been known to point this out, that while we're all horrified by Trump, uh, in many ways, or there are many things done by previous presidents that are worse than anything Trump has done so far. I mean, Bush and his war on false pretenses that cost trillions of dollars and killed over 1 million people. That's pretty bad. Uh, and it's kind of funny to me when some people, when you say like Trump is shit, and then you go, oh well, Obama drone bombed thousands of people, however many, and he did, but it's like they've been so distracted by the sort of bizarre shit Trump does. They've forgotten that Trump has expanded the drone shit which was Bush's shit, which Obama expanded, and then Trump's expanded on forward. Remember, he fired the fuel air bomb, the MOAB, the massive ordnance airburst, mother of all bombs, just because he wanted to, just because someone said, you know, we've got this thing and it's a good psychological weapon. We should just drop it on a part of Afghanistan where we claim the Taliban are. Sorry, I had an itch on my foot. My posture seems really weird. I just needed to, these socks were making my feet itchy, and I'm taking them, and I've got to remember, don't scratch too hard or I'll break the skin and I will regret that. But isn't it weird how scratching itches feels so good, and you'll do it to the point where you hurt yourself? And it's because some fucking microbe is stimulating your nerve ends and it wants you to break the skin so it can spread. And it's like, I'm a human, I'm in control. No, I'm not. A fucking microbe is dictating my actions to advance its life cycle. What did I say? People sort of jokingly, somewhat seriously say things about how we're just the vessel for various viruses that are keeping us going to advance their life cycle. And there's an argument to be made for that. Hey, Pat Man, how's it going? Harry, no one got nuked, but Trump did okay the dropping of the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in the US arsenal. In fact, it's a bomb that makes such a big explosion that it's like a mini nuke, basically. But it's a conventional bomb rather than a nuclear bomb. It's incredibly destructive. No fallout, of course, because it's not nuclear, but big boom boom. And everyone, I feel like everyone's forgot he did that because Trump it's on one level. See, Trump has basically thrown standards of normality and basic decency out the window. And in some ways, you can make some positive arguments for that complacent system needed to be shaken up. It's just that we probably didn't need it shaken up by such a shallow, vacuous, narcissistic, cruel, racist, bigoted shit stain. If someone could have shaken up the system without being vile, worthless scum like Trump is, that would have been good. Patman, I'm going very well. Thank you for asking. Planet America is a great name for a political TV show. Yes. Yes. I was just like, what's. Oh God, hurry. You just did one of my pet hates. You used the word decimation to mean a lot of destruction, which, of course, in colloquial usage, it does mean that. And so it's a lost semantic cause for me to point out the deci part of decimation refers to the destruction of 1 in 10. There's slightly contradictory sort of folklore as to where it came. It tends to get linked to the Roman army, and some people say it's like it was a punishment for enemies where they would kill 1 in 10. Other one is that it was a punishment for the troops if they failed in something. 1 in 10 of the legion would be punished. But yes, once something gets into such common usage that decimate just means a large amount of destruction. It's pointless. Yeah, English and I'm not very good at other languages, but I assume they're subject to the same thing. But English definitely is an amorphous language. It grows. It changes. Words change meaning all the time, and new words come into vogue. Um, Possibly my favorite bit of weirdness in the English language are the words that mean the opposite of themselves. Like literally the same word, not even with a different pronunciation. And it's not that it has two different meanings, it's the word have literally the opposite meaning. It's called a contronym. Uh, and cleave is one that springs to mind. You can cleave unto someone, which means to hold them close, and you can cleave something in two, which means to separate. So cleave can mean bring together or cut apart. And there are a couple of other contronyms, and I have no idea if um, other languages have contronyms. I was just looking them up. It's another one, sanction. Sanction can mean both a penalty for disobeying a law and also official approval of an action. Um, so, yeah. And I mean, there's very, very weird different ones. Um, Colloquialism, there's even more if you can if you count colloquialisms. Uh, yeah, contronyms are weird anyway. Oh, Adele, you learned that it's legal for judges to sign warrants. Yes, judges have all sorts of powers with regards to law. In fact, it's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. Judges can basically declare laws. Like when a judge makes a pronouncement, we talk about legal precedent. Um, if there's something in a court that's never been declared a crime before, and the judgment handed down is that this is a crime, that's a legal precedent. That is now a law. So Parliament makes most of the laws, almost all of the laws. But yes, the judicial system can also make laws. Yeah, there's a fun thing that judges can make law and politicians can make law. That's why at least cops don't make law. Cops enforce law, regularly break laws, but your cops don't make laws. They're just the enforcement of laws and things. Hello, Jim, with your bedoing. So yeah, it's a rich and complex tapestry in this world. Now, I got a text from. I mean, you would have heard the ding. It was like 10 minutes ago. I got a text from AIDS saying he's just trying to restart his computer. Still haven't heard from him. So who knows what's going on? Rui, you studied law in VCE. Adele's studying it at uni at the moment. Oh, yes. And yes, misclassification, bringing it back to the other news story, executive decision can involve Australia in US military operations without the public really knowing or getting any premonition of it. Oh, Justin, you do raise a good point. Laws are not enacted the same way everywhere. In fact, in the US, of course, because there's the official three arms of government in the US, of course, the president can try and set a law and needs the Congress to agree to it and not try and block it. And in difficult cases, of course, the courts make a final pronouncement on whether a law is constitutional or not. Uh, Technically, Australia being subject to the British Crown, the British Crown, I think, can still, I don't think they would ever try to, but I think constitutionally, the British Crown can still declare laws applicable to Australia. Harry, can the Queen declare war? Well, the Queen, does the Queen have the power to? I'm not sure. It'd be the same deal. It would be the It'd be I wonder who knows English constitutional law. If the Parliament decide to declare war, does the Queen have to sign off on it? Is that just regarded as a formality if she does, or does she have real constitutional power to say, no, don't do it, or she says do it when the Parliament doesn't want to? I don't know. British constitutional law is really weird. Oh, Delia, actually saw your photo that you met Michael Kirby. He is somewhat of a legend in Australia history of the last couple of decades. But so we have different views on whether or not the Queen can declare law. I feel quite confident in saying she wouldn't. It would be a question of her Prime Minister consulting with her about the intention to declare war and them coming to an agreement so they presented a consistent public face. But yeah, I do think the British Crown would avoid controversy as much as possible. Oh, Miss Foxification done some lookup for us. Federal Parliament has the power to make laws around military operations, and the country's control of military force is vested in the Governor General as the Queen's representative. That's why I thought constitutionally the British Crown would still be in charge, but in practical terms, the chances of them interfering with the decisions of Parliament are very close to zero, because it would, of course, cause a constitutional crisis. Well, yeah, David, the Governor General is the vice regal appointee. The Governor General is the constitutional representative of the British Crown. So technically, the GG should talk to the Queen before doing anything important. But yeah, even if it's still constitutionally a thing that the Queen could declare war on behalf of England or Australia, I feel quite confident that the chances of that happening is incredibly close to zero. I think forcing that sort of constitutional crisis would be a very bad idea. Mind you, it depends which side Murdoch's on, because we saw that with the dismissal of the Whitlam government, an absolute scam that should have, caused riots and revolution, but people had been sold a particular line by the Murdoch media that this was in the best interests of Australia, and they went along with it. Oh, that would make sense, Adele, that people in the LGBT community were concerned, even with the law for marriage equality being passed, that the Governor General may have stepped in to block it, but that was never going to happen because there's marriage. There's marriage equality in England. I was about to say, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. Thinking really hard. Yes, I'm sure there is. So yeah, you as Queen's representative, you would not do very well to try and block a law for something that's also legal in England. So I think that's a safe bet. Look, Adele, there was clearly some people in the LNP who were pretty aggressively opposed to marriage equality and, yes, were willing to cause all sorts of shenanigans, but they lost. Safa, when did British troops leave Australia? I'm not sure we've ever really had a significant number of British troops here. A historian could probably answer that. Um, yeah, and also, I guess it somewhat depends what you mean by British troops as well. Uh, I am well. That's a certain point of view, Justin. British troops became Australian, but yeah, what I mean, I currently don't think there's a presence of British troops in Australia. David, what do I think about Barnaby Joyce throwing his 2 cents in about abortion in New South Wales? I think that's exactly what that worthless, hypocritical scumfuck's opinion is worth. Maybe 2 cents. Barnaby Joyce is absolutely worthless, despicable, hypocritical, lying scum. Even by the very low standards of politicians, Barnaby Joyce is fucking appalling. Uh, like the way that fucking sack of shit can just lie and misrepresent, it absolutely blows my mind. Yes, no, I don't think you even actually have to. It's interesting you're studying international law, but I don't think you have to have studied international law to guess that the reason no countries are really actively supporting the Hong Kong protesters is they don't want to piss off China. Uh, Ms. Fox, are you saying even Barnaby's daughter? It's hardly surprising that Barnaby's daughter would pay out on him because he shat all over his family, while that fucking piece of garbage was aggressively fighting against marriage equality, uh, using his family as props, saying, you can't let the gays get married because it would destroy the sanctity of my marriage and family. At the same time he was doing that, he was fucking a much younger woman who had been on his staff. Like he has no family values. He has no adherence to any concept of sanctity of marriage. He, like I said, even by uh, the very low standards of politicians, Barnaby Joyce is particularly fucking worthless scum. Like he's just like the worst garbage imaginable. When you're watching Safa, that there's a half-time score. Oh, I bet that's basketball. Is that basketball? US 44, Australia 40. I had some vague thing um, about some basketball. So for the Nationals backwards, the Nationals were formed by, and they used to be called the Country Party, were formed by very conservative country people who believed that them city conservatives in the Liberal Party weren't conservative enough for them. Weren't looking out for the man on the land, which to a degree is true, but It's not like there's any goddamn evidence of the Nationals standing up for the man on the land either. They are just an absolutely toothless junior partner in the coalition. They're just garbage. Justin, you're saying the Nationals are closer to US Republicans. They're closer to conservative Southern Republicans. That's who they're closer to. They're just, ugh. I grew up in the goddamn country and I hate them so much. So very, very much. I hate being associated with them. But yeah, they're starting to suffer because the penny really is dropping with even very conservative people in our, sorry, something on my foot again, even with very conservative people in rural areas, that the Nationals ain't worth shit. They sell them out in a heartbeat. And they'd probably be much better off with a conservative independent. That's a good random hurry. Bob Catter is a nom. Oh wait, there's a thing from AIDSy. If I add him, oh, there you are.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
See?
Hello. I'm a thing from AIDSy. I've been added and I'm injured and so I'm taking medicine.
Yeah. So if AIDSy sounds even stranger than usual, it's because of the medication he's taking for all the broken
Let's
bones.
not get crazy about the medication word.
Yeah.
Let's just say medicine.
Medicine, self medicating.
That's really where we're going with this.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We won't say too
Because
much. Oh,
soon you're gonna see how this medicine works, and you're gonna go, do doctors recommend this? And I'm gonna say in some countries, definitely.
So yeah, so everyone's very excited to see you. That's right, because you can't see the chat. You can. I don't know if your internet would cark it completely if you tried to open a YouTube video in another tab while we're doing it. I suspect. Well, at the
Yeah,
moment,
it would.
yeah. So we won't
It'd
do
shit
that.
itself and die. It'd shit itself and die. And pro the fact that I couldn't read anyone anyway.
Oh, there is that as
I'm gonna
well.
try and sit. I'm gonna try and sit so you can see me.
Yeah, it's mirrored. Well, look, I can change the framing. It's really fun. This little interface where
No,
you.
no, no. Don't worry about the framing. It's just I've got a fucking weird bend in my spine and a brace on, and I'm in a lot of pain. And I've last night, okay, on Tuesday night when you were practicing being gay,
Mm-hmm.
um, I found that it's best if you drop a full cup of coffee onto your keyboard and then clean it up and then work. So then what I did was bolted down to the Marché du Quai and picked up another, I believe, made in the Chinese keyboard and mouse, and got ready to get back in the studio and found that the lights were off, literally, and everyone had fucked off home.
Mm.
And so I basically did a bit of experimentation, moving around my 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 thing, my beauty, so to make it look square. But it's done fuck all. It's
Mm.
done fuck all. It said, AZ, you're not the second coming. All right.
Ah.
And I've gone. I am fucking disappointed in that. You promised me Mayan calendar kind of shit, Four Horsemen kind of shit, fucking End of the Matrix kind of shit, you know, the historicals in the middle, all that kind of shit. But no, you are not the chosen one. And I was going, well, great. Is it the and they said that and the failure to step on the top stair, which
Ah,
leads you to
yeah,
fall down 30 stairs. And
yes.
did you come and see me once? No, what a cunt. I'm not abusing you, fuck you. Um, but yeah, it's been tricky. But here we are. How the hell are you?
Yep. Good, good, good. Life continues despite all evidence to the contrary, and we're all fine. David's asking what happened to you, because you can tell you've got your arm in a sling. But how many things are broken on you?
Okay, so I broke 3 ribs and fractured 2 ribs on the outside of those, and I broke my collarbone in 2 places,
Yikes!
and I put a hairline fracture in my head that was Y-shaped. It was arachnoid, which they were paying a lot of attention to. But it actually healed up straight away, so they didn't give a fuck. And then they were a bit worried because one of the hairline fractures actually joined up with the other side of my head,
Right.
which means a whole bit of his skull could fall off, and that tends to be a bit awkward. But what was weird? This is really weird, right? I'm in the X-ray, and
Yeah.
I tell you what, mate, when you're an
Yeah.
emergency patient, no fucking waiting, no waiting at all. Fucking so they're going click. Okay, turn this way, click. Okay, turn this way, click. Okay, turn this way, click. And I wasn't turning. They were moving me and the machines around me because I came. And then they going click, click, click. And then the radiographer said, "Hang on a minute. Wait on just a second." And then turn the machine went click. Just wait there. Turn it, click. Just wait there. Turn click, click, click. And you could actually see the fracture heal as he was talking. It was
Right.
so small with knitting
Yeah.
that night. It actually fixed itself up by the morning. It was so small. I had
Uh-huh.
a contusion on my head, and it bloody mucked up my ability to find words for a while.
Okay.
Now, that's not something that I am very good at anyway, but no, it was really bad. You know, it was stuff like concomitant to and preparedness of, and
Yeah.
um, tidings, and things like things that would obviously either go together or be the conclusion of,
Yeah.
and stuff that I would always do because I'm not a reading person,
Yeah.
oral person. Um,
Yes.
that kind of stuff is very, very important to me. Um, so it's not like I could write the fucking word.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what it was. So it was really
Ah.
quite frustrating trying to describe to nurses what I want. Um, I mean, how do you say "blow my dick" in Swahili?
Well, the mind boggles that that's a thing that you might have to say.
Well, I mean, he was a good-looking young fella. He's a
Right.
big boy. I reckon he could have very gently lifted me up and done all the work.
Possibly.
Anyway, enough of that. I'll get some medicine into me as you tell
All
me
right.
of your world.
Well, the world's the same. Of course, we've got the day job. We've got the what's it called? White Night coming up on Saturday.
Yes, yes. Do ring me about White Night after we're finished here.
Yes. All right. You're probably aware of the fact that as you fiddle with your headphones, it makes lots and lots of noise. Yeah.
I am aware of that, which is why I'm trying to do it least as possible.
Yeah. So everyone's in in awe of your ability to survive those things. Well, I like Fox of Fate has suggested, could we put you in cotton wool or bubble wrap? But maybe one of those giant bubbles. You see when you see people playing soccer or whatever in those giant bubble balls that they roll around in.
Oh yeah, no, too claustrophobic. I'd freak out.
Ah, yeah, no, that would be a bit of an issue. Yes,
Yeah, I'd
yeah,
freak
but
out
it's
too
see
much.
through.
So,
You could
what?
fool yourself that you weren't trapped because it's see through.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but I'd still feel confined.
Yes, we should get Angry to do some of her brain magic stuff on your thoroughly justified claustrophobia. For those who haven't heard every freaky story of AIDS' life, this one involves being buried alive on a plumbing site and taking a couple minutes to get him out from under the ground.
Yes, I've heard estimates from between 14 and 17.
Yikes, yikes, yikes. But because any regular viewer will know I've mentioned Mrs. Angry having being a psychologist counselor has these neat techniques. The one for really squirrely trauma is EMDR, and there's another one called EFT. But she's got a slight variation on the EMDR technique that she was trying out on me the other weekend, and it's so weird. Like these therapies, when she's like testing them out on me, when it works, I feel because it's the weirdest thing. Is one of the many things I love about it is just further evidence that brains are really stupid and easily fooled.
Aren't they so plastic? Aren't brains so plastic?
And like it's so trivially easy to fool brains. Just even look at stuff like magic tricks, illusions, optical illusions.
Uh-huh.
The the way it's so easy to just create an abstract image with chromatically opposite colors in it that tricks your brain into thinking that the still image is actually moving. Uh, AZ's hosting a child's party in his house. This is the world we live in, basically.
Near enough.
AZ, children's entertainer. He's going to start making balloon animals now. Hurry, I'm
He's
not
about to be
talking
a
about
balloon animal.
hypnotism. There's questions as to whether hypnotism's even a real thing. But the things I'm talking about are not hypnotism. They are just things that are literally continual evidence. The way your brain processes information is essentially not to be trusted.
No,
Because
absolutely
it
not
falls
to be
apart
trusted
all
at
the
all.
time.
It's one of the first things you learn as a comic is that you and it surprised me. Okay, sorry, I went backwards first when I should have gone forwards first. As a
Yeah.
comic, I learned you can get away with anything as long as you set up enough early on, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, um, a fat lady falls down a fat lady in a red dress falls down a manhole. That's comedy. Oh, sorry, fat lady in a red dress falls down a manhole and kills herself. That's comedy. Fat lady falls down a manhole and breaks her leg. That's tragedy. What you forgot was the red dress.
Mm.
And it's these little things. It's these little things that you don't notice that are so terribly important. And then when I went and did CGI, because I got fired from comedy, um, they said, "Oh, do this, do this, do this. Oh, and don't worry about that. They won't notice that." And you
Mm.
go, "The fucking, it's in the middle of the screen. It's this big fucking eye bar in the middle of the screen. They
Mm.
will fucking notice. It's a
Yeah.
big bloody square." They don't.
Mm.
They don't see it at all.
No, it's like there's that psychology experiment where people are shown a video of two teams playing basketball, and it says you have to
Yeah.
keep track of the score because I'm going to ask you the score at the end of 5 minutes. Tell me what the score is and who's winning. And people watch really closely to see who's scoring baskets and and after the 5 minutes, stop the video and they say, okay, who won? And going, oh, shirts beat skins 9-8. And then the person says, and how long was the gorilla on screen? And they're going, the what now? And
The what now? The
a
who now?
person in a gorilla suit ran across and waved and stood there and then went off. And not nobody, but an enormous number of people don't see it because they're not looking for it.
Do you know they pushed that till 6.5 minutes
Yeah,
before everybody noticed it?
yeah,
It's only a 7 minute clip.
yeah,
It's only a 7 minute clip. It was 6.5 minutes out of a 7 minute clip
mm,
that they noticed it,
yeah,
right? And they had to push it to that length for everybody to get it. And it
yeah.
was like, guys, if it was 5 minutes, most of them would miss it. It's like, how do you do that?
I I love this. Stella just said in the chat she's actually been put through that, and she thought she failed the test because she was supposed to be keeping score, and she lost count of the score when this fucking gorilla ran on and distracted, which is a nice variation.
Oh, fuck. Get the gorilla off. I'm trying to count the score.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck you, the gorilla.
I should try and get the paperwork because this sort of most recent variation of the therapeutic technique EMDR, which is designed to help you distance yourself from traumatic memories. Mrs. Angry read me the preface of this thing, and it explains it really well. Like traumatic memories is basically when something happened, you were so fucked up, your brain stored it in a way it doesn't normally store memories, and you can't get
Well, that
away
makes
from
sense.
it. And yeah, but there's this EMDR technique, which is literally just about following something with eye movements while you're thinking about the thing. It rejigs how your brain remembers the event. You don't
Yes.
forget it. Like you don't forget
No.
traumatic events, but it gives you the distance you need. And it's absolutely surreal. Whenever she does this stuff on me, it's like, how do you feel about it now? And it's like, oh, no, it feels like, yeah, no, it's not bothering. And
Cramp
I,
in my leg.
I
Sorry, cramp in my
don't,
leg. Cramp in my leg. I'll keep my speaker there. Fuck, it hurts. Ow.
the weird thing
I
is,
take an anti-cramp. I've only got one left. Actually, I've got two of the other anti-cramps left. That'd be good. I'll take 2 of those.
The
Ah,
weird thing is, in all seriousness, your body
yeah.
movements, facial, your body movements, facial expression, and the noise you were making, I think would have been really similar if someone was giving you a blowjob below the camera eye line.
Really?
I mean, a really good one, you know.
Yeah. It had to be pretty fucking good. It
And
could be that good.
Phil's actually
I've had them
training.
that good.
Oh God, I hope I don't look like that when my foot cramps during sex. You were
In fact,
very expressive.
you've given me an idea because boss of the house has come home.
Yeah, I just saw his arm behind you. He was getting something out of the fridge.
Well, the boss of the house has come home, and we eventually finish this broadcast.
Yes.
I might, I might get some painkillers in an alternative way.
Yeah, well, good endorphins are good for that.
Why is my lens pointed that way? I don't understand.
It can be. Hey, look, I want to.
Can you
Yes,
hear
we are.
me whispering?
Well, okay. Aidsy lives in a one room micro apartment, so he's always in the
It is a
kitchen.
studio apartment. It is a
That was the word
studio
I was looking for.
apartment.
Studio. I forgot the real word, but it's commented on.
You know,
You have a fridge behind
designers
you.
designers live in spaces like these with
Yes,
minimalist spaces,
yes.
and they have clothes stacks in the corner, and they go out to dinner, and they entertain at nightclubs, and they come home for romantic getaways and
Hmm.
some mood drawing, and
Yes.
then sometimes they just come home to hide or say hello to Mumsy as she's popped in um, from Wellington on her way through to Fruity Pata to have that liaison with Tefufu.
That
Um,
makes perfect sense. Okay.
you know, I shoot those people. I hunt them down in a Wolf
That's
Creek
fair.
style way, except a
Oh yeah.
lot less friendly.
Wolf Creek and
Yeah,
all the way. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. Do you
yeah.
know? Do you know how funny it is watching a yuppie trying to run with no feet from the balls of the feet down?
Yeah. That's always fun to see. God, you just
It's
reminded me of
funny.
this super weird story. All right, there's a pretty shitty Australian film came out years ago that was about street drag racing, and the person who wrote it said it was based on they were actually involved in the illegal drag race scene for ages. And he said, "Oh, you get some wacky stories." He said, "I was just rocking up to one of the tracks where the drag race is going on just in time to see a car lose it and do the tumble, 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 tumble." And he's going, "Oh fuck, what's the outcome of this going to be?" And then someone burst out of the car and ran away from it. He's going, "Oh, they got lucky. They had a good safety harness or something that rolled 6 times and they just got out of the car." And they went, "God, she's weirdly short though." And they went there. She was the passenger in this car, and in the crash, her both legs had been cut off at the knees, and she was in such
Yeah,
shock. She was running on the stumps of her legs, and that was one of the more
yeah,
fucked up stories I've ever heard. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what. There's some places on the dark web you can go for, and there's more and more of them now. Um, Young fellows have collected stories of my grandfather, um, and they
Mm.
sat their grandfathers down. The silent generation got them drunk
Oh God.
and said, "You've been stoic, a fucked up unit, with me now
Yeah.
here on the lake cabin, and we're going to get shit faced for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and you're going to tell me everything."
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he's cried his ass out. Um, and do you know that most of these guys feel bad um, about letting down their mates? That's where most PTSD comes from. It's about letting
Oh
down
yeah,
their
with the guy
mates.
when the bloke next to you cops it and you don't.
Yeah, it's your fault.
I mean, the weirdest story. I'm trying to think. It's hard to imagine which theatre it was worse. I always remember one of this World War II veteran who was basically sick of all these stories about, you know, service being glorious. And he goes, no, we did it because we had to. And he was actually on the notorious Kokoda Trail towards the end of the war, where the Japanese were advancing towards Australia. And when the Yanks finally re-showed up and they started to move and push the Japanese back, some of the stories is like, oh no, this guy was an American. That's right. He was one of those comes up, and the Australians who'd been there for a while. He said, "Oh man, some of the stories because been in the jungle for a while and shit got nasty. And if you were fighting the Imperial Japanese Army, they did seriously nasty stuff and things you might have seen happen to your friends." Yes, while it's not the most noble of motivations, revenge kicks in quite a bit. And the one story that always sprang out to me, there was a Japanese sniper, and there's a thing snipers used to do, but they're up in a tree. They would tie themselves to the tree trunk, rope around their waist, other end around the tree, because they would stay in the tree for days. And it was in case they fell asleep, they wouldn't fall all the way out of the tree. They'd fall.
Or make any noise.
Yeah. And then they'd wake up and climb back on their branch. And this American came along, and there's an Australian just, he was keeping an eye on this tree, and there was a Japanese sniper hanging from his rope around his waist. And the Yank says, like, oh, when did you get him? And he said, 2 days ago. Not before he got three of my mates, though, so fuck him. And the Yank said, is he dead? And the Australian says, I don't know. And gets his rifle out and shoots this hanging guy through the leg. And the guy hanging there screams, and the Australian goes, not yet. And it's just like,
And then just let it go.
yeah, it was just, and this American who hadn't really seen active combat, just like with this sort of super jovial Aussie bloke just doing fucked up shit because he's just like, dude, no, fuck these guys. And I was just like, oh, okay, wow.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I'm gonna share. Easy as
yeah.
concoction. I'm gonna share some. Look, my latest concoction. Look how good the color on these is. Actually, they don't look quite as red on camera. They look a bit lighter. In real life, they're much redder. This is gin and this is vodka. And it's just with these tea bags, but because I saw these things in the supermarket, they're designed to go in cold water. You know, they called them an infusion. It was like a fruity tea. And it's designed to put in your cold water bowl so you've got flavored iced tea. And they're designed for the color and flavor to come out much more easily in cold water. So I thought, yes, do it with the gin and the vodka. So I'm going to make a drink. I think these will make for a very nicely coloured drink. I need to
I
get
like
my
the gin. I like the gin. The
yeah,
gin is very pretty.
yes,
May I suggest spiking the gin
yeah.
with a little bit of something hyper sweet and hyper desserty, like really, 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 really strong fortified dessert, like a musket, but like times 10.
I know what you mean. Well, I mean, I
Um,
often put bloody what do you call it? Sugar syrup in it anyway.
Yeah. But
So
like, give it a real fucking punch, you know?
well, this gives. I was thinking of doing. There's a cocktail called. Well, guys, there are a few names like Zaza or Dubonnet, where they normally put the gin with a red liqueur to. Oh, in fact, I could do a version because I've got some Aperol up there, which is also red, but that's a very bitter one. Then I might put the thing. Hurry, the absinthe. My absinthe is blue, so I totally lose the really cool red color if
Yeah,
I
you would.
drink blue absinthe. I used to have red absinthe, but I drank all that eventually, and now I have blue absinthe. I want to make a red drink. And in fact, I was thinking with the red vodka, I might make like a red martini or a cosmopolitan. Yeah, actually, a red cosmopolitan. Normally, you use cranberry juice to make the Cosmo red, but I don't need cranberry juice if I've got red vodka.
Stinking God, cranberry juice. I've got
Joe's saying I should put
vodka.
chili in. No, I don't think I will. That's always a fun thing to do with AIDSy because he's allergic to it.
Yeah. And makes me die and stuff. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Still, one of the funniest ones I ever had is when you had to check with someone at a cafe ordering something and going, "Does that have chili in it? Because I'm allergic." And the person responds, "I don't think it has much." It was like,
Ah,
no,
ah,
allergic as in not much will kill me. I need to know it has none.
any at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting at my cocktail shaker. Ugh.
I was with a friend who was walking me around town, and there was this you know, come and look, we grow our fresh food out in planter pots out the front because
Yeah.
we're Melbourne foodie and wankers. And basically, they had this chili there, and he grabbed a couple and ate them. And I went, "Oh yeah, they're all right." And sucked down his chili, and he's licked his fingers and got together. And I said, "Okay, now, big guy, you're going to be very careful, aren't you, not to touch me with those hands?" "Oh, what's wrong with that?" "Well, I'm very allergic to chili." "Oh, but you're not eating it." "No, no, 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 no. But the chili itself is something I'm very, very allergic to.
Yes.
I'm very, very allergic to the chili. The chili makes me go ow and die." Anyway, so for the rest of the next fucking hour and a half, we walked to our eventual venue, and you could see little almost writing on my arm where he'd grabbed me
Oh no.
and moved, and touched me on the arm. And it was only till we got to the venue and I said, "Look at this, look at this."
Yeah.
And he's gone, "Oh, what's that?" And I said, "Okay, remember how I told you when you did the chili and you touched me and it'd burn me?
Yes.
Did you? Did you?" "Yes, I did." "Do you remember when I did that?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, no, no, now. That's what that is." "Oh, is that me burning you with chili?"
Yes.
"Yes."
Also reminds me somewhat, not an allergic reaction, just a sensitive reaction. Because as you explained to me after the fact, one of the side effects, because you had chemo years ago for the rheumatoid arthritis, and
That's right.
one of the side effects of that was being very sensitive to strong smells. And we were on a long car trip to Canberra, and I'd made my own driving snacks, and it was very yummy. It was this wrap, and it had some cheeses. I think it had some blue cheese, some stinky cheese in it, but it also had a pesto that had a lot of garlic in it. And it was very, very yummy. And it was the middle of winter, so we're driving with the windows up because it was very cold outside. And I'd been eating this garlicky blue cheese thing. And because
we really are 3 or 4. We're really together 3 or 4 months by this point,
yes,
working together.
yes, yeah, we hadn't been hanging out that long, so I didn't know you had this sensitivity. And me being a blokey bloke, and we were having a bloke's road trip, I let rip with this huge burp in the car that just was very redolent of garlic and what's not, and it almost killed this poor bastard. And in the middle
He
of
deserves
winter,
to
driving at
die.
100 kilometres an hour, he's got the window down with his head out in this freezing breeze because
I'm
he
screaming, stop, 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 stop. Right, because I
actually
thought
had to stop the car and let you out.
I can't. I had the window open because I thought I can't get out of the car fast enough to spew, and
Yeah,
unless I do that, that will be an unforgivable sin. And
yes.
finally, thankfully, our man got the car stopped. And he's freaking out, going, "What's going on? What's going on?" I have divulged the breakfast.
Yeah.
I have sent my protein to Africa. Um, I have. I thought my ass was going to come up through my mouth. I was that sick. Um, and then we had the discussion. Um, and I felt a bit of a shit because I don't like to impinge upon other people's, you know. So poor old boss of the house, right, gets into onions and gets into garlic and gets into normal human food.
Mm,
Yeah. And
yes.
I fucking can't stand it. Just blows my mind. And fucking, oh man, it's. I wish there was something that I could put over my mouth and nose or into my throat or something like that. And
Mm.
because what happens a lot is when we get together with groups, is we'll go to Nando's. And I
Oh, and
love
then
going to Nando's to the groups,
yes,
but I can only spend 20 minutes at a time in there.
yeah,
So I'll go in and float and I'll chat for a little bit and then I'll fuck off for
because there's too much
20,
chili
30
in the
minutes.
air.
And then I'll come back in.
Yes.
And then for in increasingly shorter amounts of time as I
Mm.
load up on more and more chili. Then finally we bail and we go. Um, but yes, it's. Oh, I tell you what, man, it's an interesting fucking world. And I never met someone allergic to avocado, and she was.
There
I
you
didn't
go.
think it was a real thing, and she was really allergic to it.
Yeah, I guess people
Fucking,
can
we're
be
talking,
allergic to just about anything.
yeah, like we're talking fucking uh, uh what was wasn't Hellraiser? What was the one with the kid that was possessed?
Oh, the Omen. No,
The
that's
Omen,
no. The Omen is the one with the Antichrist. We're talking about The Exorcist.
The Exorcist. All right. Now she gave it that over half a teaspoon of fucking
Oh, the pea soup vomit.
avocado.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
a bad
no,
thing.
man, it was fucking projectile.
Oh no.
Um, and it was a genuine fuck up. One of her previous boyfriends had put a little bit of fucking um a little bit of avocado on her sandwich because
Mm.
he didn't believe it, and he got treatment. And the other boyfriend just swapped the sandwiches around, just fucked up, and they both bit
Oh,
in,
damn.
and he went, "Oh fuck, darling! Oh, this is yours! Oh fuck! Oh fuck!" And there was chaos at the table, and gog going on.
Good
I'm going
Lord.
on. You know, I for once am not the grossest thing at the table. Didn't stay that way
For
forever though.
once.
Well,
Oh, dear.
you know, for once.
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
was going to
So,
ask
yes,
you a really important.
Ralph says I'm drinking water. Asking me important
What?
question. Hmm?
Yeah. I was going to ask you a really important question. Okay, so today I was supposed to get up in the morning, right?
Yes.
Which I sort of did because I wasn't asleep.
Mm.
Okay. And I was supposed to go and have a shower, which I didn't do.
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to go and get drugs, which I didn't do.
Mm.
And then I was supposed to go to the hospital, which I didn't do.
Mm.
And then I was supposed to go and pick up various different ingredients, which I did sort of do. And I've got to get and make a coffee in a minute, but I can't do
Mm.
that. I'm on TV, so I can't do that right now. Um, anyway,
Yeah.
um, so I suppose if I ask boss of the house nicely, "Hey, boss of the house, would you make me another cup of coffee?" What if I was nice?
What if you were nice? When are you ever nice?
How nice would I have?
Honestly?
What,
Oh my
how
God.
nice would I have to be?
Bargaining. We got to
No,
bargain for coffee.
I'm getting fucking, I'm getting the hand.
No. To be fair. Anyway, yes, look,
Yeah,
Safa thinks my drink looks like
there should be no
lava.
coffee getting from boss of the
Oh,
house tonight.
I've got to come up with a name for this, by the way. It looks much more orange on the screen. It's pinker in real life, which is a nice touch because those weird right-wing dickheads who obsess about the fact that I drink cocktails as a betrayal to all masculinity. You look like you're having another cramp.
What?
And but this
No. It's just trying to uncramp my back.
mm, this tastes really good. This is a variation on a cosmopolitan that has Aperol. Uh, Bitter Italian aperitif instead of Cointreau. So a bit of cosmopolitan Italian. Is there any other sort? A
So,
cosmopolitan.
okay, can you can you do me a favour
Yeah.
and roll back the tape for me?
No.
The right wing types
They get
have
very
told you that
upset.
you.
They get very upset that I drink cocktails because it's an assault on masculinity that I would drink cocktails.
As opposed to what?
Beer. The man's drink beer. When you drink beer like a man.
Do you know in Japan
Yes.
you can go into a bottle shop
Mm.
and get a case of sake in cans,
Mm.
and the sake has two ring pulls.
Yeah.
It has a big ring pull on the bottom, right,
Yes.
and a little ring pull on the top.
Yes.
And the idea is you're supposed to take it out of your carton.
Mm.
You're supposed to pull the big ring pull down and twist it and jam it
Mm.
straight back up again. And
Okay.
then once you've felt the warm go up to the top, you
Yeah.
flick the top open,
Yes.
and your sake is warm and ready to drink.
Uh-huh.
Right? These things were so popular that the uh, police had to ban them from being transported in the front of the car. Right? Because the temptation was always that the mate in the front would crack you one off too.
Oh, right.
Because it's
Okay.
just sarky, right?
Yeah.
If it's just sarky, it's not going to kill you. Fuck. Yeah?
Yeah.
You just come off a job site all day. You've been pouring concrete for Nintendo
Yeah.
Sabatsu. And, that chick down from accounting, yeah, she's all right, eh? I'll be getting a bit of that. And of course, you won't be getting a bit of that, mate. You'll be going down to the Red Love Motel district. Um, and so, yeah, the cops had to basically go, right, no cans of this, no cases of this stuff in the front
Yeah.
seat of a car,
Mm.
because the temptation of just basically cracking one off for the drivers too much. And you do it once or twice and you go, okay, we'll stop there. The trouble is you do it 6 or 8 times and no one gives a fuck after all. And yeah, that is the number one killer of Japanese road fatalities
I
is
see.
alcohol. And I have fucked a balloon.
Here's Safa asking, what does Trump drink? Trump claims to not drink alcohol at all, uh, which I
Right.
actually don't believe. I think that's just another
I
one of
don't
his.
believe that at all.
There's actually a picture of him at the G10 summit with a glass of fucking wine, and you could, as I'm sure his supporters did, he was just having a sip to be polite. If you are not a wine drinker, you don't just casually sip wine because it's quite a strong and acquired taste. And if you never drink red wine and then suddenly have a sip of red wine, you're going to go, ugh. So I think that's
That's right.
just one of Trump's many, 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 many lies.
I wonder how it's going to be when the lie machine comes out, when the great Trump experiment's over. Because, okay, does it look like Trump's going to get in again? Yes.
Yeah, I still think that's
Does
the
it
most likely outcome.
that he will?
Yeah, because the
Oh,
Democrats are
yeah, I think so.
useless unless they
Yeah,
really
no,
whip the population up.
they've really all at sea, and they're so fucking factionalized, and
Yeah,
they've so eaten themselves
yeah,
so much that they've done the fucking Australian disease. They've just eaten themselves to death. Um, don't worry, that was just me.
No. So Safa's
Um,
asking, didn't Trump have a wine with the Queen? You'd have to drink with the Queen. She's permanently pissed. I don't know if you've ever read the stories. Both the Queen Mother and the Queen have this tradition of basically being half cut all day. They have like a gin with breakfast, and then they have another one with lunch. And then in the afternoon, they'll have another cocktail, and they'll have wine and cocktails with dinner. Basically, the Royals are half pissed basically all the time, which, fair go, it's okay.
what I like is the fact that they're half cut and that they're shooting guns
Oh,
half
yeah,
the day.
yeah.
So in the
But
morning, they're getting seriously among the piss, and in the evening or in the afternoon, they're seriously among the piss and decently among the guns.
yeah. And that's funny, like Phil the Greek had that car accident recently, which is partly because he's a senile old bugger, but also he was probably pissed out of his brain as well. How would you face the world as Phil the Greek without being pissed, quite honestly?
Well, I know I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't try it on.
yeah. So there,
If
there,
I had
there.
to turn up to some factory and go, who did this wiring here? It looks like some packies put it together in the afternoon. And then try and smooth that over. No.
Could you
See,
imagine?
I wouldn't try and do that without being pissed out of my mind completely.
Yeah, I didn't keep track of the royal engagements when Trump was there. Little Betty Windsor had to meet with him, but I wonder if they kept Phil the Greek partitioned off because he just would have said shit to Trump's face, which is because Phil is just hilarious. He's just like,
Oh yeah,
uh,
he would have. Phil would have just fucking got right up Trump.
yeah,
Phil would have got right up Trump with no fucking questions asked.
yeah,
Like, why are you trying to fuck China? Why are
yeah,
you trying to fuck the world economy with China?
yeah,
What are you trying to prove here? Do you need a bigger dick? You
yeah.
know, do you need
But
another island or something?
even just
We've
on
given
the
you.
manners, like, my God, he could not have held himself back from saying how bad Trump looked, how badly dressed he was, and how bad his manners were, and how he was just a fucking ape. It was just like, I didn't keep a lot of track of it, but I think that they would have kept Phil the Greek way, way away from Trump because of fearing international incidents.
Oh, they'd have to. They'd have to, because Phil was really offended at Trump because Trump is. Remember that the Reagans and the Windsors got on really fucking well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now they were the right kind of conservative for each other.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when I say the right kind of conservative, what I mean is the kind of conservative that is, if you're a communist, we'll nuke you in your fucking breakfast. But if you're a citizen,
Mm.
then you've got rights that I'll die for. Right? I don't
Yeah.
give it that you're a shit-eating junkie. I don't give it that. I don't care that you're a total fuckbag of a human being. Um, you are my human being,
Mm.
and even though you've lost your way, it's my way, and I'm responsible for that way. And together, we're going to protect your way, right?
Mm.
They were that kind of conservative.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, I honestly believe they pursued it the wrong way. You know, um, Reagan thought that killing all the uh, junkie niggers and the fags was a great idea, and AIDS was the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
It was not the go. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so then I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? I've got to
Yes.
go this way. I've got to
Yes.
go this way. I've got to go this way. I've got to go this way. Okay. Um, so basically, Betty at the same time thought that the way to get it done was to give all of the Etonian and similar level students a link here off to go and do works in Africa or go and volunteer somewhere good or do their national service. And you know what, man? I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm finding a lot of trouble
Yeah.
going, don't do national service. I'm finding a lot of trouble with it because I don't think you need to get into a place where you need to get to a place where you go, oh, you got to kill for your country, you got to kill. But you do got to get to a place where you got to go, this is a rifle, this is how it goes, this is how you point the trigger, this is how you hit things, that's it. Now, this is how you trek across a country with no water on it. This is how you find water in Australia. This is how you hunt food in Australia. This is how you get food in Australia. This is how you fucking, become resilient, become self sufficient, become um, more adept at negotiation within very small groups of people, you know, as
Mm.
you're rolling around the Australian bush. And I think it should be more like, I don't know, some cross between Duke of Edinburgh Award and sort of minor. Why the army aspect? The army aspect to teach you that you've got a set of obligations, not just a set of rights.
Mm.
You've got a sort of set of obligations to your fellow people. Um, you're not a farmer. You're not a concrete layer. You're not a petrol digger, right? So the bread you've got in front of you, you have no responsibility for whatsoever. You just put money on a counter somewhere on an IGA and they gave you that bread because all these other people with their skills made it possible for you to have that bread. Yeah. And too many of our young folk and our old folk too, let's face it, let's look at people our age,
Mm.
have no concept that everything around them was made possible by all the people around them,
Mm.
and that you're not entitled to shit. And, if any one of these peoples falls out of existence, you're not better than anyone. You're not
Mm.
superior to anyone. You're not, fucking. Oh, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You're not.
You're
You're
not a
not grand.
special snowflake.
You're not a special snowflake. Until you've ground out the snowflake in someone else.
Mm.
Oh, that was nice, wasn't it?
I'm not
I
sure what it
like
means.
that. I like that. You're not a
Yeah.
snowflake until you've ground out the snowflake in someone else. I like that. My um my that's really odd.
Yes. While you're
My
music, I'm going to make a gin cocktail. Hang on.
I'm just going to turn that off. My bloody
You bloody
oh,
ass.
it's so weird.
What are you
Well,
doing?
I just got a page of code from StreamYard. What I've said is some command word in the microphone, and it's set up a whole string of code systems.
I highly doubt that, but you're broadcasting loud and clear, so don't stress.
I will cease stressing immediately.
Good, good. That's what I like. A man who doesn't stress.
Yep,
All
the
right,
stress is now gone.
all right, good. I am going to make a variation of a cocktail called a Dubonnet or a Zaza. So it's got a little bit of my red gin. I know it looks weird, orangey pink on there, but it's much more red in real life. A bit of that. Bit of vermouth. Now, the actual recipe for this cocktail calls for this red vermouth that's also more herby than this white vermouth that I've got here, vermouth bianco. So I'm going to put a little bit of this herby liqueur, another Italian aperitivo called Punta Mez. It's a great name, isn't it? Punta Mez. This is the mirror, and it's really confusing. That's why AT keeps going off screen, because it's in mirror, and you feel compelled to do the opposite of what you actually really need to do.
It's called Punta what?
Oh wait, where's the label? Punt Mez. P-U-N-T, punt, E-M-E-S. Punta Mez. It's what does it say about it? It's it is actually a sort of vermouth, so I've made the right way. It's an original aperitif based on wine, sugar, and mountain herbs. So it's a fortified wine, so that's the right thing to do, and a little bit of lemon juice as well. And my little creation of the Dubonnet. Never really made this one before, so this will be an experiment. Joe wants me to do shots of the orange gin. No, Joe, because I've got to go to work tomorrow.
So, effectively, these people in the Middle Ages basically spent their spring, summer, and autumn months working their dicks out to get everything planted, grown, harvested, processed, harvested, stored, malted, turned into alcohol, turned into high strength alcohol, and then get ready to go before the first snows started falling.
Now,
And then get what animals and grain they could down the mountain before winter set in. And that was their money for the year. And so for the entirety of winter, they would spend pretty much on what they'd saved up and pissed out of their fucking minds.
Yes.
Is this the basic gist of what I'm getting here?
Yeah, pretty much. So yes. So I've made this on camera. This looks a lot like the other one, a bit darker orange. In real life, it's actually got a slightly brown tinge from the Punta Mez. It's with blind spider like. Again, it's as I expected. It's slightly bitter, but it's nice. Cocktails shouldn't always be sweet. It's good to mix it up. And I think, what's Stella say? She worked with an American prepper out in Kalgoorlie, and he was surprised when you said you didn't care about prepping because you just walk out in the bush and start hunting root. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The whole idea of holing up in a bunker for doomsday just makes you a target. Being an accomplished hunter would suit you far better in a doomsday scenario than being a hoarder who has a bunker, because you're not mobile with a bunker and it just makes you a target. So,
well, what are you storing?
well, they normally have heaps of dry goods and water and ammunition. That's what most of the American preppers have in their bunkers. Lots of dry goods, as in non-perishable foods,
Yes.
water, and ammunition. But they go to the bunker and they go, "Oh, I'm curious." Dude, you're just a target for every sort of Mad Max type roaming gang in existence, where a hunter is moving around and is less of a target for marauders. Safa, it's -2 in the morning for you tomorrow. Where are you that it's -2? I just looked when I saw that, and it's supposed to be about 3 Celsius overnight here. It'll probably feel colder. it will probably feel colder. Um,
Me?
no, no,
You
one
talking
of
about me?
well, no, no, no. When I say dirty, smelly little vagrant who should be in prison, that's when I'm talking about you.
Well, it's 7.1 now. It's
Yeah,
supposed to feel like 6.1,
yeah.
and that'll go colder. So it'll probably end up being 3. The winds are calm.
Mm.
There's 89% humidity. It's going to be fucking freezing tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to feel cold. Oh, Cypher's in
Uh,
Albury, so it's going to be sub-zero in Albury, apparently.
yeah.
I like Joe's
Okay.
contribution about what's in the bunkers. Besides the dry goods and ammunition, the doomsday prepper bunkers are full of incest as well. So
And the good book.
the good
And
book's
the
full of
good book.
incest.
And it's got a potbelly stove that you've made out of a 44-gallon drum that you've cut a flap in,
Yeah,
and you open the flap and you throw in the wood and you shut down the flap, and the flap at the other end is higher up, so the heat can get drawn through, and you can sit there on a Sunday and read your good book and know that you're prepped for what might come, which is, of course, the niggers.
yeah.
Um,
Stella is remembering the real doomsday prep scenario. Bad Boy Bubby. Oh my god! If you haven't seen that, that's an Australian film from like the 80s.
Fucked
Uh,
up.
and
90s. It
it
was the
was
90s.
was the 90s. It was
It was the
80s or
90s.
90s,
Yeah. 90s.
and
It
it
was fucked up.
fucked up. But it's really worth seeing. Bad Boy Bubby is just a really fucked up film in a good way. Oh, and so I was pointing out, speaking of movies, we haven't talked about Spider-Man yet. For people who care about such things, because the weird thing, Marvel, a lot of people don't realize, but for a very long time, Marvel Comics was almost broke, and they sold off all their properties to different film production companies for cash because they were desperate for cash. And
True story. Yeah.
the rights to Spider-Man ended up with Sony, who I think also had the rights to the X-Men, although I'm not completely sure about that. Um, but it's Marvel Studios don't have the rights to the X-Men, and Marvel Studios don't. Well, they negotiated a deal with Sony, which is why we had Spider-Man, young Tom, what's his name, playing Spider-Man in the Avengers movies and in the Marvel Universe movies, because Marvel finally cut a deal with Sony.
Yeah.
But now the deal was due for renegotiation, and Sony, and it was not really Marvel, it's Disney Studios who own Marvel. They couldn't come to an agreement, and Sony said, even though, Disney had produced a quite successful Spider-Man property with the recent Spider-Man and Avengers films, but Sony just went, yeah, no, fuck it. You're pushing a really shit deal that we don't want to go along with. We're taking the rights to Spider-Man back. So unless there's some change in the deal, no more Spider-Man in the Marvel Comics universe, which is interesting because they had obviously been setting up the Tom Holland Spider-Man as being incredibly important to the next phase of Marvel films. And now it looks very strongly like that isn't going to happen. Sony taking the rights back, and unless maybe that's Sony playing brinksmanship, like they really don't care, and they say, if you won't do a deal we like, we will just fucking take it back, and we don't care how much money it looked like Tom Holland was going to make as Spider-Man. Maybe it's brinksmanship, like maybe when it's going, well, we pulled the pin, we're gone, and then maybe Disney go, oh, okay, we'll do a deal that's a bit more favorable to you. and Sony go, well, that's better. It may be
Well,
Sony.
see, here's the other thing that we're not thinking about, right?
Yeah.
This is a Japanese company. What do they
What's the
make in
Japanese
Japan?
company? Oh, Sony.
Right? What do they make in Japan? Anime.
Yeah.
What are they good at in Japan? Anime. What are they better at than anyone else in Japan? Anime.
Yeah.
Basically, if you want to fucking show someone how to make a comic book movie, fucking you go to Japan and ask them. You don't go to Japan and say, this is how Marvel's going to be. Sony's
Yes.
going to turn around and say, yeah, see, guys, you've got some great fucking plot points here, but this is a hole, that's a hole, this is a hole, and that's a hole. We're not interested in listening to you, short, fucking squinty eyed yellow guy. Um, you just need to be fucking respectful of the Marvel brand. And then Sony goes, yes, and you might need to be respectful of the several hundred billion yen that
Mm,
we've made out of cartoons. That was, in fact, for 4 years running,
mm,
the greatest export of our country.
mm.
How would you be being 4 years running? The greatest export of your country was your fucking was your anime entertainment.
Mm. Mind you, talking about Sony and animation, I was literally just before coming on here, I was rewatching Into the Spider-Verse, the Sony animation, which is
Yeah,
fucking brilliant. Fucking brilliant. I just love it so much. I want them to make so many more animations in that style. Uh, and that could be where um, Disney really fall down with thinking they could force Sony into a deal Sony didn't want. Well, so if Sony just goes, oh, you know what? We've had varying success with our live action Spider-Man films. Fuck it. Why don't we just stick to the animation? That was sort of, cutting edge for us. And what I love, and I don't know what sort of contract people like Robert Downey had, but of course they retired Iron Man and Captain America because they were basically getting too old to play the roles. Uh,
fair enough.
but animation, all we need is their voices. They could now do a whole bunch of Iron Man films with
That's
Downey's
right.
voice.
That's
Uh,
right.
so the scope for Sony is actually quite strong. Um, so yeah, it would definitely serve Disney to pull their head in. I saw on Twitter and stuff. Most people seem to be blaming Sony because this is the Marvel fanboys. They're slavish worshippers of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and whatnot. And you're going, well, it's fucking Disney, man, and Disney are like the shittiest company in the fucking world. And it's not like Sony's a great company, but the concept of blaming Sony for not accepting a shitty deal from Disney when Disney, because they've bought so many production companies, think they own the world just because they own half the film studios in the world. Um, the idea that Sony should have said yes to a shitty deal just because Disney demanded they did is ridiculous. So,
It's not. It's not. None of this is cut and dried until someone puts. See, here's the thing, right? Until
mm,
someone races out and puts something onto the market.
yes,
Okay, here's where it's going to be. Someone's going to put something on the market, right? Someone has got to go and get their own money and
mm,
put something on the cinema markets and
yeah,
let audiences watch it. And if it's any fucking good, then they win lay down misere.
yeah,
And the other boys can go and suck the bees. And it's a big stakes game because
yes,
basically, you know, I'm surprised they picked Spider Man to do it. No, I kind of am and I kind of not. kind of surprised it picked Spider-Man to do it because it's not an up and sort of center one to do.
Yeah,
If you anyway, but it is an up and center one to do because it connects with anyone you want, and basically, he's perfect because he can be the mentee, he can be the mentor, he can be the hero, he can be the saved, he can be
mm,
the savior, he can be the bootstrapper, he can be the next level Gus's glory, he can be the sacrifice for true love. He can do all of that, right? And the first company to get something to market that shows all those best bits. And I'm not going to left bet my left ball. It's going to be the Americans, man. I'm not going to do that. Right? Or
sorry, that
Japan.
just you saying that, it's like, I don't know, is what's the market value of your left ball? It's been through the wars, and sure, it got a brand new ball sack. I'm just not sure if you actually put that on the table as a bet. Um, what?
Excuse me. Excuse
Yes,
me.
yeah, sorry,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
My ball sack
yeah,
excursion cost the
yeah.
Australian taxpayer $11.5 million.
Well, to be fair, there was
So,
more than just your ball sack in that, but that was like the end product of $11.5 million of expenditure. You got a new ball sack.
right. So if I'm putting my left ball on the line, that's half of 11.5. So it's what? 5.25%.
Yeah. Well, let's just say five million even. There's ancillary
Okay,
costs.
5 million even, right? It's a
Mm.
$5 million bet that I reckon don't fucking discount the Japanese for putting it out first.
Well, hear me out
Oh, do you
now.
know what else? Do you know what else
What?
shits me? But we'll listen to you first.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm now tempted to like actually take your balls back to the hospital and say, you spent over $10 million on these. I tell you what, special rate today, you can have them back for 2 million. You're making 8 million on that deal. They'd be fools not to take it.
But that happens where I work.
Oh, they're not very bright, is what I'm saying. If I just,
No, they're not very bright.
yeah,
The other thing that I wanted your opinion on
yes,
is the thing that shits me up the wall, and it
yeah,
shits me to tears. Is I understand the concept of whitewashing films.
yes,
I understand the concept of badly whitewashing
yes,
films.
yes,
Right. What upset me
yeah.
was when they accused Ghost in the Shell of being whitewashed. That upset me
We've
terribly.
had this conversation, but that character was Japanese. You're honestly
Right.
talking
And
bollocks.
we see the Japanese character Motoko Kusanagi getting caught. We see her getting arrested. And she is a Japanese girl.
Yeah,
Remember that the Motoko Kusanagi that we see in most of the film is a robot. She's a full cyborg.
yeah. You're clutching at straws. That's
No,
my.
I'm not. That's
Yes, you
that's
are.
been
It was a Japanese robot. It was a Japanese robot made by Japanese people to look like a Japanese
this
person.
has been this has been basically part of the story in every single arc of every single Ghost in the Shell is Motoko Kusanagi asking, "Who am I? Where am I from? What am I inside this? I am fully cyberized. This is
I'm
not my body. This is not who I am. This is not what I look like.
I'm completely okay with us having a different opinion on this, but my opinion is it was a Japanese character. It was a Japanese robot made by Japanese people to look like a Japanese person. And I'll go one step further in whitewashing is not just horrible, if not outright racism and cultural appropriation. It's shitty things to do, but it's also based on a really pathetic, stupid, lazy lie. The fuckheads in Hollywood go, oh, I can only spend $100 million on this film if it's got a big name person in it. That is absolute bullshit. We see failure after failure after failure after failure of expensive films with a top line star in them, and we see quality films that don't have a name star succeed. The people who make the decisions in Hollywood are brain dead fucking morons. And
I agree.
the whole, yeah, I know this I knew you'd agree with. The whole whitewashing thing is based on their stupidity. They're like, oh, I can't cast a non-white person because people won't go to see it. That is absolute bullshit. People will go to see good films.
Just bullshit.
But yes, and that is a slight side issue to your assertion that
Because you get
not
to the last Airbender.
Yeah.
You get to the last Airbender, and that was the most disgusting whitewashing that has ever been produced.
And it was a bad film on top of that.
Right? The story itself is amazing.
Hmm.
And they didn't even bother to go with it. They didn't even bother to go with the story that they had. They spent all this money buying it and then tossed it away. What a fucking joke.
But they again, we are unanimous in that the fuckwits who make the decisions in Hollywood are fuckwits. They make such bad decisions. And I agree, what you've said to me in the past is a big reason they make these bad decisions is half the time they're making bad decisions deliberately because they feel so threatened by people with artistic talent because they have none that they will sabotage the talent just as a power game as well. All right. It's also bedtime. And I want to finish off with Lion Spider of Crow's joke. He said he watched a movie on SBS where it was a Japanese movie where a woman had sex with a man just after he died in order to be impregnated. And after the film showed, the film bloke who was presenting it said, well, what can I say? Fuck me dead. Which is the perfect summation of it. Thanks for that, Lion Spider.
Thanks for that, Spider.
On the note of fuck me dead, we're going to say good night. Thank you, kind people, for joining us. Hope to see you again soon. But I'm going to not so much shuffle off the mortal coil, but shuffle off this internet broadcast. Look after yourself, one and all, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Bye. I never know.
See ya, bye. See ya.